Hello and welcome to Narrowboat Chef. Today on the menu we're doing a chocolate cake.
Chocolate mud cake. We are very excited because today's recipe actually comes from our very first released cookbook.
Yeah.
Finally! I know you're all saying it.
It's been a lot of work.
Yeah. This cookbook is actually called the 2020 Lockdown Legacy Cookbook, and we wrote it with recipes in mind that are
Low cost.
Yeah, low cost, long lasting ingredients, ingredients that are easy to get, or like slightly less common, like dried lentils and stuff like that. Yeah.
So the cookbook will be available from our website on a donation basis, starting from £1 donation up to as much as you want.
Today's recipe is from that cookbook, as we said, and it's going to be chocolate mud cake. And if you do get the book, you can find this recipe on page 20. So let's get cooking?
Let's get cooking.
This chocolate mud cake recipe is one that I used to make as a child quite a lot with my mum. It's the perfect post-lockdown cake because it doesn't use expensive ingredients like eggs or butter. It's quite simple. It's just a bit of oil, sugar, flour. You'll see as I put the ingredients in. First step for the cake is to preheat the oven. I always forget this step, so let's do that now. We're going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, or if you're using gas marks, that's gas mark 4, and for Fahrenheit, it's 355 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes?
Yep.
Yeah. Ryan is reading from the cookbook recipe itself to make sure that we get these right. Now that our oven is heating, we're going to start by putting all of our dry ingredients into a bowl and just mix them together. Alright, so our first ingredient is some plain flour. Ryan, could you read me?
50 grams.
250 grams of plain flour.
Kind of like the narrator.
Yeah, you're the narrator. 50. Oop. It's okay, it's still 50. We have also put alternative measurements into this cookbook, so this would be 8.8 ounces of plain flour.
220 grams of caster sugar, Maggie.
Next one, 220 grams of caster sugar. If you can't get caster sugar, feel free to use granulated sugar. Granulated sugar is also a bit cheaper than caster sugar, so if you are on the budget, try the granulated. Ooh. I got 226.
It was slightly sweeter.
Next ingredient is some cocoa powder. How many grams, sweetie?
25 grams.
25 grams of cocoa powder. Kind of stuck into my tin a bit. 24. 25.
So 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda.
Bicarbonate soda. 1 teaspoon of that. Half a teaspoon of salt. There we go. Once all your dry ingredients are in your bowl, you just want to get them all mixed in together. I'm just going to use a whisk because I'm going to use a whisk in a few minutes to mix all of my wet ingredients together. So.
And I have to wash the dishes. So she's saving me a little bit of work.
As we have established before, Ryan washes the dishes, so probably should have sifted the cocoa powder because it was a little bit lumpy. But not to worry, it will all dissolve in the liquids later anyway. Once all your dry ingredients have been combined, just form a well in the center of the dry ingredients, which we will put our wet ingredients into. Set that aside. So for our wet ingredients, we need some vegetable oil. And it's how much, Ryan?
55 milliliters. 55
milliliters of vegetable oil into my measuring jug. 55. 3 teaspoons of white vinegar. Get my teaspoons out again. 1, 2, and 3. And we'll add a teaspoon of the vanilla essence. So I said I was going to use the whisk, but my jug's actually a bit small, so I'm going to use a tiny little whisk. That is actually the extension for our hand blender. and just whisk those together.
I use it as a small hand whisk more than I use it on the hand blender.
Yeah, Ryan uses it a lot. Just as a mini whisk, it's quite handy. So those mixed together will make a cloudy mixture. And that is just going to go into the centre of our dry mixture. And then we're going to get 250 ml of water and add to that. In goes the water. And then we're just going to combine those together. So it won't take too long, and they'll be all combined. And then we're going to prepare our cake tin. So we're going to use a 20 centimetre cake tin. And we're going to line that with some baking paper and then pour the cake mixture into that and pop it in the oven. So I'm going to use a square of baking paper, and I have shown this particular trick in another video about how to make a circular, perfect sized lining for your cake tin. So you just want to fold your paper in half and then in half again to make a square. Once you've got this square, you want to fold it from the middle centre point, not the outside point, and fold it diagonally. And then do the same again. Fold the edges together, keeping the point. Once you have your folded baking paper, you want to put it in the centre of your baking tin, and the outside edge where it meets the edge, if you want to cut about 1 centimetre past that point, is where you want to cut off the ends. Just cut that directly across. Open it out. You got a perfect circle. You just press that into your tin. And voila, you have an easy lined tin. Now that my tin is lined, I'm going to pour my cake mixture into my tin. And I'm just going to use a spatula to get all of that goodness into the cake, so that there's none left for Ryan to lick the bowl.
I was going to come and take that bowl too.
Gotta preempt these things.
She's so mean.
And there we go, barely anything lickable left in the bowl. I made your present. There you go. It's beautiful.
Is this because I found a mistake in your editing on the book?
Yes. Yes. This is your badge of honour for
finding that one typo.
Yeah, the typo I've got to fix.
It's not really a typo, you just missed the ounce symbol after the number. So mean.
Hey!
Pickles deserve something too. She's like, what have you done, Ryan? So get it off. Get it off.
You're so cute, baby.
Oh! She broke it! She broke it.
We're going to pop the cake into the oven for 40 minutes and make sure that you don't overcook the cake. As this is mud cake, it does need to have a, I don't want to say a muddy consistency.
Moist. A dense, moist.
Dense, moist consistency. So if you cook it for too long, it will dry out.
So like, I'm a poor little puppy. Look how cute I am.
Think so?
I deserve a treat.
Should everybody go and buy the cookbook?
It's like, that's like giving her permission to come into the kitchen.
The cake has been in the oven for 40 minutes, so I've just taken it out. It has gone a little bit lopsided, mainly because our oven does not like to cook cakes. Normally when we cook a cake in our oven, we will turn it around 180 degrees halfway through the cooking process to make sure that we get an even cake. I just forgot to do it with this one. I'm sure it'll still taste delicious. I'm going to let the cake sit for about 10 to 15 minutes just to let it cool down slightly, but it is a cake that is best served warm with ice cream or even maybe some custard.
But there you have it. That's our chocolate mud cake.
It's turned out very moist and warm and decadent.
So the recipe for this is in our recipe book, and you can find a link to our website with our recipe book available on it.
Yes, so if you do guess it, be sure to let us know what you think of the other recipes in the recipe book. And we hope you've enjoyed this recipe. If you have, give it a like.
Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.